Things that sound romantic, but are actually a bid for control. I had a date when I was 19 with a 26-year man. Met in a chat room for the local area early 2000s. Spent weeks talking on the phone and chatting. Exchanged pics. He seemed very nice, gentlemanly, and we shared interests, so I agreed to a dinner date. He chose a fancy restaurant I didn't know. But my older coworker told me it was pricey and her eyes got wide when she heard where we were going. I made sure to dress up very nice. He showed up in a limo. A whole dang limo for a first date. I went despite feeling somewhat hesitant. I didn't know then why I was uncomfortable, and the restaurant itself was amazing. The food he ordered for me was delicious. The conversation was a little one-sided but was about things I like too, so it's fine. I even let him get a couple kisses in at the end of the date. No big red flags in my young mind, but I still felt weird. Weird enough to turn down date number 2. "You're just too much for me," I told him. That's when the flip happened. Suddenly I paid for the whole limo, dinner, etc. card. All I got was a couple kisses and not even a second date. Looking back now, I am so glad I listened to my gut. I am not a vending machine. Edit to correct unconfirmed to uncomfortable. Sounds like he tried to love bomb you. And he offered all this stuff freely, without you even asking. That was his decision to do. You'd think he'd be glad you spoke up after the first date and saved him the cost of a second exorbitant date. But no. Sunk costs wasn't what he was really worried about. He's angry he didn't get to control you. Proposing in a large public area with thousands of applauding onlookers. I cringe myself inside out every time I see some dude drop to one knee on the kiss cam at a sold-out baseball game. Tell me you're afraid she's going to say no without just saying that you're afraid she's going to say no. I hope every one of those ladies gets in the car for the drive home, drops the ring in the cup holder and says, "Look dude, I don't want to marry you. But you know what else I don't want? Is to be booed and jeered by 50,000 people for most of the evening." The very first red flag was that he was 26 dating a 19-year-old. But we live and learn. You dodged a missile not continuing to see him. Clearly he thought spending money and pretending to be nice meant you owed him something in return. Constant phone calls when you're away from them. Like 1 an hour. Just to check on you because they miss you so much. So proud of you for listening to your gut at 19. Also, I am not a vending machine. Obsessed. I will be using this sentence in the future should I be in this situation. All that for a first date. Eek. We know why he was single at 26 and going after young girls. Rom-com poisoning is real. Yeah, they see it as an exchange. The entitlement that exists in some men is insane. Men teaching other men about women is like the blind leading the blind. This reminds me of all the stuff where men complain that despite getting rich because that's what his other manosphere like men told him to do, they still didn't get the girl. They see it as women just being so confusing or weird and cannot recognize it as a personality problem. Yep. It's love bombing. You won't realize how dusty they are if they make you see them as a paycheck. The limo and him ordering for me like I'm 3 are 2 red flags. I wonder where he learned a limo makes a good impression for a first date. Did you tell him you weren't for sale? What an asshole, baby. That is super transactional. I did ABC so you owe me XYZ. Not how love works, buddy. Even if you do everything right, no one is entitled to return that with love or sex. Honestly, real love looks like my husband sitting me down and saying he doesn't see me taking any action toward the goals we agreed on or individual ones I've said are important to me. He's disappointed but wants to work together to reassess or work out what we can do to make progress. Then giving me a big cuddle after. Not what a lot of people imagine it to be, I'd think. Compliments. I remember one guy saying something along the lines of me being the right type of girl that wasn't into drinking and partying. He didn't know shit. We'd hardly spoken. Expressing strong feelings very early on is often a bad sign. Committing too early. Asking to commit unnaturally early is not romantic. It's a bid for control. They honestly think that if the display is lavish enough, they'll get what they want, and they're flabbergasted when it doesn't happen. Am I the only one that thinks that being handed over from father to husband is weird? Also asking the father for permission to have their daughter. Traditionally, even before asking the daughter. What day does mom have? Why do parents need a say at all? 100. It's always about control. Men who act this way are signaling they want a tradwife or someone they can intimidate. I once went on a date with a man who unwrapped my straw like a waiter would and ordered my food. Wired but okay. One date later. Did a background check as is my dating routine. He had been convicted for rape. Now I do background checks before first date. But yep. It's always about control, and they are not going to want an independent person. This was 20 years ago and you still remember that shit so clearly. Obviously a huge deal. I'm so glad you had the good sense to turn down date 2. Dude, a limo, WTF, nope. Guy clearly doesn't understand basic social whatever. Yeah. That's sleazy as hell. You can't buy love. I put the nice coins in, why didn't the sex fall out? I was in the middle of an intense breakup between friends. She turned her feelings towards me. I turned her to online dating, where she met a guy who gave her his last fiancé's engagement ring as a gift on the first date, and has since taken her on 2-3 dates a week from the sound of things. I chose my other friend after some actual and domestic abuse. So I don't know how it'll end. My friend just met a guy she really likes on a dating app. He's been perfect so far. Buying her dinner every night and offering to buy her purses and dresses. I'm trying not to harsh her mellow, but also trying to let her know to keep her wits about her. It sucks we have to worry about it. Saying I love you after less than a month of knowing each other. The ones that say they love you want to get married, like way TF too soon. Like, dude. Do you even know how to spell my name? Offering massages that you know are an excuse to try to touch you. IDK if any guy has ever offered a massage without a motive. Maybe one. And I think he was just really good at hiding inappropriate feelings. I'm not convinced this is always about control. When I was young and still figuring out how dating works, I definitely did what you could describe as love bombing and ended up getting broken up with. It wasn't about control at all. I was just being an idiot. I never connected that behavior to the breakup. I did something similar with a new relationship a few years later, and she just honestly told me to stop it and how it made her feel. We are now married. Never attribute to malice what can be equally explained by stupidity.